everyone, welcome back. So this is not my typical way to start a labor and delivery video, but this labor and delivery was not typical at all. It was just a bad delivery. And so the reason I'm making this intro is, number one, just so if you're after a labor and delivery video where you do actually see the kids being born, this is not a video for you. I don't want it to come across as clickbaity because the kids were terribly malpositioned. I tried to get the kid into a better position, and I just passed it off to our vet because I just could not. I've actually learned, I've learned a lot this season because we've had lots of triplets, and when it comes to kids, I hate admitting this. I really don't like saying this, but I hate feeling inept or incapable. But I've learned this season that when there are just some times, and I just hate saying this, but there are times when I just don't have the physical arm strength. And I have talked to multiple men and women who raise livestock, and both have agreed, and it's really frustrating because I do think it's true, because in this situation I knew what to do and I just could not do it myself. I just couldn't make it happen. But men just have more arm strength, and I have to pass it off to the vet, and he can just get in there and just, make it happen. And it's just so frustrating. But with that, my husband doesn't know it yet, so he wasn't raised with livestock. He doesn't know, he just doesn't necessarily have the stomach for the gory side of raising livestock, or I guess what he thinks is maybe the gory side. I don't find it like that. But I am going to start training him with some simple, easy, obvious births to start, and then into the more complicated ones, so that we don't have to run to the vet for this type of stuff, and I can just explain to him what needs to happen, and he can just go in and reposition the kid, and it would just be a lot faster. But anyway, you'll see what I mean. I'll explain it later in this video, more so kind of as it's happening. But I really hate admitting that. I do not like defeat, but it is a fact. I would rather walk away with as many live kids and a live doe than me fart around in there for extended periods of time and just wreak havoc and cause damage and not actually be helpful. But anyway, you'll see the early part of her labor, and kind of I'll go into when I start to realize something's wrong. But then at that point I did edit out. There really wasn't anything to see, but there was a lot of blood because I was spending more time than what I like to spend in a doe because she was having problems. And so I tried, and when I couldn't, that's when Brandon ran her to the vet, and then the rest of the story is there. The last part that I wanted to mention before we get into her part of the video is that I didn't say it, and I should have explained it, but when I'm in the moment and it's happening, I'm not necessarily focused on explaining the details. But Tori had never laid down and really committed to pushing. She would give some pushes, but then she'd get up, and then she'd lay back down, and she'd push a few more times, then she'd get up. And usually when they flow like that up and down, they're not quite ready to really, really get into labor. And so I had let her go off and on for about 45 minutes to an hour, and with still no real commitment to pushing. But that is one regret that I have, is I should have checked her earlier on, I feel, but and in the first part, there was no reason for me to think that there was anything wrong. I thought she just wasn't ready to lay down and really push, but once I got in there, then I realized why she wasn't actually fully committing to pushing. So anyway, there's just that part. Otherwise, I think that's it. So hopefully you can learn something. There's bits and pieces scattered throughout this video of lessons learned and things that I'll do differently next time. So I'll never claim to be an expert. I don't think it's possible to be an expert with boars or goats in general, because they'll always be curveballs. So, but anyway, hope you learned something. And yeah, with that, I'll let the video roll. So my sweet Tori girl, she has been keeping me on my feet these last 6 days because she is 6 days late. And as of last night, I did not think, I thought I had my breed dates wrong, even though I only had one date down for her, and she's had 2 ultrasounds confirming the same due date. And so I didn't think it was possible, but I assumed she must have gotten bred at a later date, and somehow I missed it, and maybe the ultrasound, because ultrasounds aren't perfect, and so I just assumed that maybe somehow it had gotten wrong, and she was due a lot later, because she is a first-timer, so her not having much of a bag, see, you really can't even see it. Hopefully we can get it to come in here, but she doesn't have much of a bag, so that doesn't tell me much. And her ligaments were hard as a rock last night. And this morning, her ligaments are 100% gone. And she is in labor right now. And last night, I had basically given up and assumed that I had my dates wrong. And so I split up Matthew and Mark from Rachel and Frankenstein. And I'll have a video for that at a later date. But I had split them up. I have my sister coming today so she can watch the children, all of our 4 kids, while I clean all of these stalls and let all the girls out and tag the babies and do all the things. And now she's in labor, and because I made plans and changed plans, that's why she's in labor. So we'll just keep an eye on her. And the lesson learned here is just never make plans during kidding season, because they will be sure to take advantage of any change in plans whatsoever, which is what Tori did to me, but that's okay. So we will just keep an eye on her. She's still really early. Like I said, she's not even pushing yet. She's just uncomfortable. She has some streaming off and on. Yeah, so we'll just keep an eye on her. First-timer, and after an hour she really should be making progress, and she is just not making progress. You're okay. And these kids feel plenty small. She has a lot of room in her pelvis, but there's just nothing happening. What is that? Wait, there's the head. I think. What is that? Oh, there we go.
Can I come over?
Put your. Well, folks, I have sent Brandon off with Tori to the vet. I guess as a breeder and a raiser of Boers, I know my limitations. I know when I've learned when I'm out of my depth or I need assistance. And, you know, I guess, I don't know why I feel like I have to explain myself with this, but, you know, I have no doubt if I would have worked with her and worked with her I eventually would have got the kids out. But the problem is there was a lot of blood. And for me, that's usually the telltale sign that, you know, something's wrong. Something's not just kind of wrong. Something's really wrong. That's what was concerning about the first part of her labor, is that she already had a lot of blood. Usually that's just a sign of, you know, cervical dilation, especially the first time with new moms. It seemed like she had more than she should, and I guess I should explain what I was feeling. So in my experience, when you put your hand in with a doe that isn't making progress, and the first thing you feel is hooves, but then when you get past the hooves and you still feel the cervix is pretty tight. Now, once I worked with her, the cervix opened right up, so she's more than ready, and she has lots of room in there. But once I got my hand in there and started feeling, what I've noticed, what happens is ones that aren't making progress and just the hooves are sticking through the cervix, and the cervix isn't, I'd say the cervix was like 75% dilated. The head wasn't there. And there is a head there, but the problem is, I don't even know if I can explain this in a way that makes sense. The hooves are forward, they're where they're supposed to be. The head and the neck is actually wrapped over the right shoulder and under the rib cage. And I don't know yet. I'm suspicious the kid's dead, because that's the problem, is the kid should be assisting, and the kid was not assisting whatsoever. There was no movement the entire time that I was trying to manipulate the kid. Now I've seen people be wrong before. I've been wrong before, where a totally healthy live kid pops out. Sorry, I'm in my house with two of the kids. Macy and Wyatt went with Brandon to the vet to help. But it's just easier if I don't pack up the whole family. Did you eat it all? Yeah. Okay, thank you. You want more? All right, well, just give me a minute, okay? The problem was I couldn't get the head. Once I finally got the head up and started to pull forward, the head just slid right back under the body. And there is just no, that kid is not helping in any way to help itself out. And then I tried, the problem is that kid has already been pushed so far forward that I couldn't get that kid, and it feels long, I couldn't get that kid out of the way to get the other one, which is still alive, or at least at the time that I was trying to reposition them. So anyway, the moral of the story is I could have kept messing with her, but I know my limits, and I would rather have everybody come out of this alive and healthy than me try to prove to the world that I can do anything, and maybe I get all the goats out, but all the kids are dead, and the mom is, I tear her cervix or do what else to her. So for me, I would rather just have a vet who has pulled many kids and knows how to better position kids than me, and is going to be able to do it a lot faster with a lot more tools. Or maybe they'll feel something that I didn't feel, and it's a C-section, and it will just head off a problem before it becomes a bigger problem. So anyway, that's what's happening now. Tori, they're probably getting pretty close to getting to the vet, and they're really good. They've done really well by us, and so anyway, that's where we are. So we will update you. I'll update you once I know more. Oh, folks, let me tell you what a morning it's been. So Tori ended up having 2 bucks and a doe, but the first buck, the one that I suspected was dead, and that's what the vet said, that he just wasn't moving and wasn't helping to make any, her cervix dilate, which is what I figured was the problem. But yeah, so once he got that one out, these two apparently just flew out, and they're doing good. She's a great mom. She only has colostrum. There's just a little bit in there, but the kids are nursing and they're weak, but they're doing good. So I don't know if we're out of the woods, but this is definitely best case scenario. I mean, mom's healthy, babies are here and healthy. We lost one, but sometimes that's just how it goes. So, but hey, we got two big healthy babies, so I'm happy with that. This is the only surviving kid that we have from her. Fine, and I'll show you her udder here in a second. This goat, and there's many morals to this story, but one of them is milk production, and I'm going to go off on a little bit of a rant, because basically, don't believe, for people that are new to this, don't believe everything that people tell you on the internet. If you ask a question, go with your gut, because I knew something was wrong with this situation, but even I held out hope that it was going to work out, and it didn't. And honestly, it's my fault, because I just assumed that her milk would come in. And it is day 6, and she doesn't even have enough milk to support this one kid. This kid is so hungry. I came out here, this is day 6. I've never bottle fed him. I tubed both him and his sister the first day, and then I stopped tubing them. And that's the next day, the next night, his sister died. I think because she laid out here and got so weak. Sorry, I'm a little annoyed and on a tangent I'm annoyed with myself and with the powers that be on the internet, because, okay, I gotta back up. Sorry. So there was ironically, at the same time, the night that I lost the doe kid, there was a post that a woman had made. Her Boer had just had triplets. All 3 of them had lived. She had apparently pulled the smallest triplet, and then she was concerned that mom didn't have enough milk for the 2 remaining, the 2 out of the set of 3. And so she was just wanting, tips and tricks to try and help mom's milk come in. And I mean, she was just berated with, easily 20 to 30 people chastising her. How dare you pull the 3rd kid? That doe has enough milk. There's no reason to ever pull a kid. The doe's milk will come in. You just have to let the kids force the doe's milk to come in. I mean, over and over and over again, there is nothing helpful. Nothing helpful in any of these comments. Just berating this poor woman who's just trying to do right by the kids and the doe. And anyway, it was just, because here I am. I'm living, maybe the exception to the rule, but I'm living, and I've never had this happen either, but I was suspicious that there was going to be a problem, and now I know there is. But people, it's possible. It's not common, but it is possible that she won't have enough milk to support even her one kid. And I have the example here. This doe has milk. Sure, her milk has come in. She basically has no milk, though. And this kid has basically sucks on her 24/7. And this kid should not look like this at almost a week old. He is hunchy and scrawny and, quite frankly, still pretty weak. And even with him, I've tubed him here and there, hoping that, because that's how it's supposed to work. The more that he nurses, the more that he, hits the udder and stimulates it, the milk should come in. And honestly, I've never had to do this. I gave him a bottle, not thinking that he'd take it, because Boer kids, or maybe kids in general, but Boers are hard to get on bottles anyway. I'll be damned. I stuck that bottle in his mouth, and he sucked down 4 ounces and did not put up a fight. He sucked. He was so hungry. And I just came out here again and gave him another 5 ounces. It's been probably 5 hours, 4 or 5 hours. He's nursing on her here. He's nursing, or he was. Now he's going to stop. Maybe I can show you. Well, see, this actually makes her udder look way bigger than what it is. There's nothing there. And this wasn't there a week ago. I have tiny hands, and there's nothing on the other side. I mean, there's just nothing there. But basically, the moral of the story here is that this doe couldn't even support the 2 that I left her with, because I checked on them. It was Sunday morning. Both kids were getting up and nursing. Everything looked fine. Okay, I'm going to leave them be. I came back Sunday evening. She was too weak. She couldn't stand. So I brought her in, and honestly, at that point, it was just too late. I think he had taken all the milk, because this kid has had the energy somehow to get up and nurse. And so basically what I'm saying, learn from my mistake and just use common sense. If it doesn't look like the situation is going to resolve on its own, then it's not, and that's fine. But just do the best that you can for everybody, because just assuming that milk is going to come in, I mean, I lost a doe kid because I just assumed that her milk would come in, because it should have, but it didn't. And like all the people on that post on Facebook that I had read that were chastising this poor woman, how dare you pull a third kid and her milk will come in. It doesn't always. Most of the time it does, and there's not a problem. I've never had this problem with a doe before, but it does happen. And so just don't be afraid to do right by the kids and the doe, because in a perfect world, she'd have a huge bag and be able to nurse all three. And actually, that's what I was going to say in this video. I have 3 does right now. I knew from experience they could support their triplets, and they're doing a beautiful job. 3 different does supporting 3 sets of triplets. They have beautiful bags, plenty of milk. They themselves are maintaining great condition while doing it. And I know that of them, and I expect that of them. I've never kidded out Tori before. I didn't know what to expect of Tori. And now I know, we'll give first timers, whenever there's a problem, I always give them 1 more year. We'll give them 1 more year, see if maybe, because I'm suspicious. It seems to me like her labor just didn't kick off normally anyway. And I don't know if that was just a fluke, but we'll see. I'll give her, one more year to kid out again, knowing that this was a problem that she had this year. And so if her milk still doesn't come in as soon as I think it should, then I'll just pull the kids, or at the very least, bottle feed them while they're out here with her. But I mean, I'm basically learn from my mistake. I'm going to show you this kid. Sweet little boy at a week old should not be this hunchy. I mean, he's just, I know. And his eyes watering. He wasn't born with an entropion eye, but it looks like it's folded in. I'll have to fix it. But this sweet little boy, he should not be this scrawny. His tummy has just barely, oh, come here, you can come over. I know, I'll come feed you again. I mean, finally, but I just gave him 5 ounces too, but his tummy finally feels like it has something in it. I know, he's so hungry. Trust me, this is not typical of a Boer baby. They do not come to you wanting a bottle, so don't kid yourself. I was actually planning on making a video about how hard it is to get Boer babies on bottles, and then this little guy is so hungry that he would do anything for a bottle. And so there are exceptions to every rule. And anyway, I don't know. I guess I'm making this just to tell you all that do see this video, learn from my mistake. If she doesn't have enough milk, she doesn't have enough milk, and that's okay. You can supplement. There's nothing wrong with that. You can pull the kid if you have to. That's okay too. But what's not okay is letting everybody starve for the sake of what should be happening, because what should be happening didn't happen in this situation, and that happens, and it sucks. But I should have I should have kept supplementing her from the very beginning, maybe even both of them from the very beginning, or at the very least, or at the most, pulled her all together and just have ensured. My gut told me to do it, but I'm like, her milk will come in. She's a first timer. Sometimes it takes longer, and that's just not what happened this time. So learn from my mistake. If there's not an udder there, there's not an udder there, and if it's not, it doesn't always just appear, folks. And so, I don't know. I'm sure there'll be somebody that comes across this and it just absolutely hates it because, well, that's just not the case, and that's just not a good doe because her milk didn't come in. And I agree. This is not a good doe. Her milk should have come in. Like, this is something has gone wrong. I don't know if it's genetic. I don't know if hormonally something didn't kick off the way it should have. Maybe here in 2 weeks, all of a sudden she'll have a big bag and I'll never have a problem with her again. I don't know. But my point is, be careful who you get your information from, because seeing that poor lady who just wanted advice get berated on social media for just trying to do right by the doe and the kids and make sure that everybody's healthy. I tell you what, folks, not every situation just works out because it's supposed to work out. So anyway, I'll stop rambling. Tori's doing great. This baby, I would hardly say, I mean, he's almost a week old and he still looks like a newborn. So I'm going to start bottle feeding him even though he's out with mom. I'll be honest, I've never had to do this before. Bottle feed a baby while they're on mom. I usually just pull them all together or keep them with mom, and I would rather her, she's a great mom. She has great maternal instincts, and so I would rather keep him with mom, but I don't know. So this will be a new experience for me. So just an update on my little man here. He's just a gorgeous little boy, aren't you? So he is a day over 2 weeks old today, and unfortunately, and mom's doing well too. She's over there. We've given her a, here, hold on one second. So you can check out mom. We've given her a deluxe pen because I feel like they're going to be in here for a while. But little man here is 2 weeks old, and this is the video. It's kind of hard to show, but this is not how you want a 2-week-old kid to look. He's just very runty. He's about the truest definition of a runt I've ever seen. He's just itty bitty. I'm finally to the point. So he took the bottle for me that one day. He's got a little got itchy butt. He took the bottle for me that one day, and then that was it. I have tried numerous times, and he will not take a supplemental bottle. So I gave him a few more days on his own. This is actually the fullest I've ever seen him on his own. I'm really not certain at this point if the problem is he has something wrong with him, or if she's not letting him nurse long enough or enough. I'm not certain yet. I still haven't figured it out, but we have started supplementing him. I give him about, sorry, I gotta change this. I give him about anywhere from 8 to 12 ounces. I tube him 2 to 3 times a day. So anywhere from 2 to 4 ounces, I squeeze his tummy just to see how full he is. And honestly, it doesn't look like it by this video, but he's kind of scrunchy because he's under here. Keep him out here, baby. But he already looks a million times better than what he did. So I think, Brandon and I, we've hypothesized that maybe it's a combination of she's not letting him nurse long enough. And I've watched him nurse, and he gets under there and he'll nurse for a little bit, and then it's just like he'll blindly hit her, and I'm not sure why he's doing that. I've never seen that before. I don't know, because he does have a strong suck reflex. So I don't know. It's just the whole thing is just a strange situation. But anyway, we've hypothesized that, let's say, and this isn't accurate. Don't take this. I'm just using this as an easy mathematical example. I know you're so precious. But let's just say that a Boer kid needs an ounce an hour to thrive. Let's say that's what they needed to thrive and to grow and to continue to grow. We've wondered if that, maybe she's only giving him 3/4 of an ounce an hour, and that's why he's able to live and to stay warm and to continue to have strength but not grow. Because since I've been supplementing him, he actually looks, this is the best he's ever looked. Because I've been tubing him now for 2 or 3 days here and there, and this is actually an improvement for him. See, like here, he's up there nursing. I mean, she has one side of her udder did come in, and there is milk when I check after he's done nursing. It's just a really strange situation. I don't know. You can kind of see what I mean by her udder. And this is not her sucked down. This is just what her udder looks like. I've never seen an udder like this before. It really is strange. And this is considerably bigger. She literally had nothing for probably the first week. Like I had said earlier, it was like 2 pop bottle caps was all she had for an udder put together. This is just definitely not how you want a 2-week-old to look, especially a single. I mean, he should just be a big booming. My biggest regret with this is that I should have taken him. I hate to take kids from mom if I don't think there's an absolute need for it. But I really, really regret, and I wonder if I shouldn't have just pulled him from her altogether and just bottle fed him, because he's getting by. He has no reason to make me think that he's not healthy. Otherwise, he does normal little, baby goat things. He's just really, really runty, and I don't know. So we'll keep supplementing, and we will pray that we'll keep supplementing milk, I should say. I know, and you're so adorable. We'll keep supplementing milk, and he's starting to nibble on hay, which gives me a lot of hope that, if we can just get him to the point where he's eating and excuse me, where he's eating and drinking and doing, he's actually following the timeline for what I would expect for other goats his age, for taking interest in hay and taking interest in grain. And so I'm hopeful that he will take an interest to hay and grain sooner, so that he can start to, self-supplement with the food that he needs, that he's not getting from mom, or that she's not letting him have. I'm not sure. Reached the 2-week mark. He's still here, and he is, look at the neck on this kid. Got the neck of a giraffe. But yeah, he's little and runty, but if you were to really see his frame, this kid has got a big, bony, beautiful frame under him. He just needs to eat. Oh, bless you. So yeah, he's so cute. Look at you, precious. I just wanted to share with you that Brandon and I have finally settled on a name for him. His name, we wanted to give him a strong name, and it took some debate, but we have settled on Bone Crusher. His name is Bone Crusher. So hopefully he can grow into that and be some 300-pound buck someday. But with that, we just wanted to share. Bone Crusher is doing as well as we would want. He's doing fine today. So that's all. We'll catch you in the next video.